This week in Boomtown, we sit down with 3 local leaders working to close the housing gap, tackling high rents, low supply, and bold new ideas shaping the future of our communities. An exclusive conversation on Central Ohio's housing crisis just ahead. Plus, a new Amazon project sparking concern in Hilliard. Neighbors say it's not what they signed up for.
Nobody wants to go out on their back porch and look at the back of some building.
Why residents are raising red flags over a plan to power a data center next. And you could call it a Midwest style movement. Just ahead, how Columbus is stitching its place on the fashion map. Central Ohio certainly is booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Thanks so much for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. It is getting colder out there, but the boom in Central Ohio is hot. So let's jump right into some headlines for you today. Big changes are coming near Ohio State. Dublin-based developer Crawford Hoying is set to build a new hotel and apartment complex right behind University Square. Now, the plan includes a hotel, apartments, new dining options, and a rooftop bar. It's all part of OC's long-term vision to transform that area near the corner of 15th and High. Construction could start in late 2026, marking another major step in the rapid growth and redevelopment of the University District. Small businesses across Central Ohio are getting a boost. Jobs Ohio is helping them buy equipment, upgrade space, and grow faster with new grants. So far, 11 companies have used the funds to create jobs and strengthen local supply chains. Just another example of how Central Ohio's small business scene is booming and fueling the region's rapid growth. Well, the Key Bank building across from the State House is hitting the market after a foreclosure battle. It is a longtime downtown Columbus landmark. It's 21-story tall and mostly empty, struggling with leaks, low occupancy, and loss of tenants ever since the pandemic. The broker says interest in downtown office space is finally coming back, and they're open to offers to help bring that building back to life. This week, we are taking a closer look at the housing challenges of a boomtown. Columbus leaders are hoping a $500 million bond package on the November ballot will create more affordable housing. But with rents still climbing, 10 TV's Colin Dorsey went to find out if these types of units are really affordable for families who want to live there.
A bond doesn't raise your property taxes. Basically what it does is it authorizes the city to take out a loan at a certain rate and then pay it back later. The city's turned to this to build affordable housing over the last few years. And I wanted to find out if the people living in these completed affordable housing units actually found them affordable.
This is the largest investment in housing in the city's history.
$500 million. That's how much of the city's $1.2 billion bond package is going toward affordable housing construction. Columbus residents approved bonds in 2019 and 2022 for affordable housing, but much smaller amounts. Those bonds have already been put to work.
Affordable housing bonds have supported the construction of more than 4,000 rental units in our city.
Just to list a few, Topiary Park Crossing, aptly named for being across from Topiary Park at Town and Washington. There's the Sinclair Apartments off Sinclair Road. And the equipment is waiting to start here on Core Place in Linden on these homes. Today, I stopped by one of the completed properties to see what residents were saying.
It really isn't affordable because at the end of the day, you're still paying more than what you would pay to get your own house.
Trina Murphy says with her Section 8 voucher, she's still paying about $500 per month.
But you still can't survive. You're still having to worry about, having to pay most of your paycheck to here, and if you don't have the help, then what are you going to do?
Others in the complex told me they feel it is more affordable than some of the other options in the city. The complex lists its rates and income requirements on its website. For a 4-person family, 2 parents and 2 kids, they have to make less than $87,200 to live here. A 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit starts at $1,149 per month. If you live in Columbus, this is one of the issues that'll appear on your ballot come Election Day, November 4th. In Columbus, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
Well, as Columbus booms, so does the cost of housing. Families are struggling to find homes that they can afford, and supply simply is not keeping up with demand. At the same time, there are new ideas and creative partnerships taking shape to help close that gap. So this week, we are taking a closer look at where things stand and what's being done to make housing much more accessible across Central Ohio. Joining me for this conversation, three people really, I consider you all on the front lines of this, finding solutions for housing. So welcome to Carly Booth. She's the Executive Director at the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio. Also welcome Curtis Williams, longtime friend. Good to see you. He is the President and CEO of the Central Ohio Community Land Trust. And Amy Claiborne, always great to have you, co-founder, President and CEO of Families Flourish. So let's get right to this. This is such a hot topic. We always hear about housing and how it relates to boomtown. So let's talk big picture. Carly, I'll start with you. How would you describe the state of housing in Central Ohio right now?
It's getting rough out there. Yeah, so right now we have 52,000 families just inside Franklin County who are paying more than half their income towards housing. That's renters and homeowners alike. You look at the whole region, it jumps to 80,000.
Oh my gosh.
That's a really dangerous spot to be in. By the time 1 out of every 2 checks is going to a landlord or a mortgage company, it means that you're sacrificing something you need to survive to make that housing payment every month.
So what does your data tell us about where we're falling short? Who's being left behind in this?
Yeah, it used to be that housing insecurity was really concentrated to lower earning households, folks who were retired or on disability. It's not like that anymore. Now you need to be able to earn almost $28 an hour just to afford the rent. And a ton of our middle class jobs don't pay that range. So it's something that's really creeping up the economic ladder.
Wow. Well, Curtis, she said it pretty bluntly. It's rough out there. What are you seeing in terms of the housing crisis right now?
We're finding that it's rough as well, too. We're servicing folks that are mid, low income, people that make either from $61,000 a year to from one person to a family of 4 that's making 130. So we're serving that middle group of folks. And they're having a hard time finding housing. They wouldn't be able to find housing because of lack of supply if we weren't providing the opportunity through the land trust. Wow. So it is tough.
This group that you talked about, I mean, truly 10 years ago, they were not in this kind of predicament, were they? Or were we just not noticing it?
I don't think we were noticing it. Housing has been an issue for a number of years. Prices have been creeping up, especially on new homes. So it's been there for a while. We just recognize that we are in a crisis.
We are at a crisis. And Amy, that is something that you see a lot through Families Flourish. Where would you describe the state of housing right now in Central Ohio for these families?
Very tough. There's not enough rental housing, and the rents are too high. And what we're seeing is we get more and more people who are applying for our program. We recently had over 800 applications for 16 slots that we are able to fill. And so many people are still dealing with the issues of the eviction crisis. So they're applying, but they have a lot of evictions on their records. They owe money to prior landlords, which makes it difficult for any person who's looking for rental housing to be able to get approved. So we're seeing the crisis up front.
That sounds like one of many barriers, I think, that we hear when it comes to people trying to find affordable housing. What would you say is driving that trend then?
Low wage jobs and high rents. And we're not building enough. So even though we're so excited about the zone in and the new things happening in Columbus, it needs to be all over the region. Every part of our region needs to be building more housing, and it needs to not just be for one income. We need to have mixed income housing. So working families who are at the lower end or middle income families could have choices on where to live throughout the region and be where the jobs are.
Carly, I feel like you want to say something because I see you taking notes while Amy's talking. So I'm like, she's got something to say.
Yeah, well, we're growing, right? That's why we're talking about Boomtown, right? We're going to have another 750,000 people in the next couple decades. And just to lock in our housing challenge where it is today, without letting it blow up, we should be building 20,000 homes across the region every year. And we're not. Even in our good years, we're doing just a little bit of half of that, right?
Barely sometimes, yeah.
Barely, exactly. That's where this supply and demand comes in. We've got so many more people who want a home, and I should say it's home ownership too.
Yes.
Then we have those places. So we end up competing against each other and driving those prices up. It's why zone-in is so important. It's why the affordable housing bonds are so important. It's a whole variety of solutions we need to look at.
It really is a big puzzle that we have to put all the pieces in. And I feel like, Curtis, you are a huge piece of this puzzle, if you will. This kind of segues perfectly into what you do for the Central Ohio Community Land Trust. You know, a lot of people can't afford to buy a home in today's market. So how does that land trust work with people who want to have a home, can't afford it? Walk us through what that looks like in that process.
Well, certainly, I'd be glad to do that. The land trust is a model that has been used across the United States for a very long time. And because of the lack of affordability, the lack of supply, and a lack of sustainability in terms of affordable housing, a lot more communities are adopting the land trust model. What it really says is that we as a land trust is building, we're a nonprofit, we're building homes, and we're making those homes affordable for people at a certain AMI. Here in Franklin County, our AMI is 80 to 120%, right? So we're making the homes affordable by actually writing down the cost of the homes so that somebody can afford it. So we're usually writing the houses down. We build them at cost. It costs us $350,000 to build them, but we're selling them for less than $200,000. So there's a group of people that can afford that. They have to qualify. So we're making the houses affordable. We're not building them affordably. I wish we could. We could do a lot more. But making them affordable using government subsidy is really the way that we're doing it. And we keep it affordable by the fact that we have a land lease that controls how the person who owns the home can sell it. They can sell it, but they only get 25% of the equity instead of 100% of the equity. So the affordability stays there from one buyer to the other. So it's a different model, but it works all day long.
Have you seen this model work in other booming cities, and this is where Central Ohio said we need something like this too?
Well, Central Ohio, it's interesting. Central Ohio, Columbus community wanted to create a land trust some years ago, but just didn't take it forward. And we created ours in 2018, and we've been rolling ever since. So a lot of the communities are doing it. A lot more are doing it because it makes sense. You need land, and you need political partners and community to say, hey, this is a model that we want to accept and get it done.
Where are you finding that land, though, if we're landlocked, so to speak?
Well, the great thing about the land trust, the community land trust, is that it's part of our organization, which is made up of a land bank. So land bank, through the land bank, we have a number of parcels already available. So we're putting those parcels into the mix, and we're not charging the landowner, the property owner, for that land. So that's another benefit in terms of making it affordable.
Really seems like a win-win, and at the base of it, it's families who are winning out. And so, Amy, I'm turning to you because hearing Curtis talk about this, it's not just giving a family a home that they can afford and pride, but it's also building this generational wealth, perhaps, that we're instilling in families. Talk a little bit about why that's so important.
So what we do at Families Flourish is we work with the private sector. We've got right now about 23 landlords working with us, and we provide rental support so families have an opportunity to decide where it's best for them and their children to live. We serve very low wage earning families with children. And we provide life coaching and programs on a monthly basis for 3 years. And that enables that generational change. The families are learning together about all the different things needed. And many of our families are back in school, so they use the opportunity to not just work, but to go to school and to be on a pathway to higher income. Many have the dream of home ownership, but right now they can't afford it and it's not for them. But one day that is what they'd like to do. But in the meantime, they need higher incomes and they need to be able to put their children in a position to one day be able to make their dreams come true. Because what we know is that all kids everywhere have the ability, they just don't have the opportunity. And so that's what we're doing. And we are supported by the private sector. We have received some government funds. But it's important that here in Central Ohio, one thing I'd like everybody to remember is that in terms of wealth, there was a benchmarking study Columbus Foundation supported. We're the third highest in wealth, but only the third lowest in philanthropy. And
That's surprising for Central Ohio, but
it is.
Yeah.
That's what the study showed.
Yeah.
And we all have a role in making the world a better place here in Central Ohio.
Yeah.
The government can't do everything, and we're watching right now a retreatment of government support. And if we all don't play our roles, and Reverend Troy said it best, it's up to us. We can make a difference, and let's get involved.
how else are we closing this gap so we don't get into further crisis mode?
So the zoning code is going to be a big part of it, not just in the city of Columbus, but as Amy mentioned, throughout the region. We aren't in this situation because of individual choices, right? It's not because developers chose not to build housing. It's not because individuals chose to block housing. It's because we have rules that are designed to create a housing shortage. And they're rooted in the 50s, and those just aren't the values and priorities we have today.
Right.
And I think what's great is when you ask people in Central Ohio, well, how do you want to fix this? 83, 84, 85% are all in support of the kinds of things that Zone In are recommending. So the things that we're looking at right now is, can we have more mixed income communities, especially at our job centers around Easton, around Polaris, where we've got these huge concentrations of entry-level workforce, but no homes that people can afford. And one of the big areas that Zone In is looking at right now as well is those kind of old school classic town centers, the Parsons Avenues, the Livingston Avenues. We see that tons of people, again, that high 80% of folks, are fully in support of updating our zoning code so that we can build both businesses and housing, because that supports small businesses. They've got the customers that they need, and people have the amenities that they want. They've got grocery stores and parks and everything right there within walking distance.
And I'm going to throw in childcare too, because that is
Please.
so,
That's huge.
I mean, I feel like that is such a barrier when we talk about housing and families, what they can afford. You have to give them things that can help support them making that living, right? So.
Well, and grocery stores and I would assume child care
Yes.
centers are very similar. They're going to literally go out and count how many households are in that neighborhood. And if they don't think they have enough customers because there aren't enough homes, they can't make the numbers work to come into our communities. So we need to be able to make sure that we're building up both of those really economic development strategies at the same time.
I'm not sure there's a streaming show long enough for us to talk about everything and solve all the issues, but I do want to close with this. What does success look like to each of you 5 years from today? I'll give you a hot second to think about this. And Curtis, I'll start with you.
Well, thank you. That's a good, very good question. Given the fact that trying to create affordable housing is a big chore. We just talked about some of the elements. We talked about cost. We talked about zoning. We talked about transportation, job care. All of those jobs, all those kind of things are very important to the whole process. What success looks like for us as a community land trust and land bank, it means that we have provided homes for as many people as we possibly can. Now, what's the number? I can't give you a number. But our number, we sold, and we built and sold 160 homes in 4 years. And that's just getting started. So we could triple that given the opportunity. One of the biggest things that we're dealing with as a nonprofit developer is cost. Cost of land, cost of materials, cost of labor, all of those particular things. And if there's one thing I would suggest communities do to sort of help provide supply is look within themselves and figure out what they're doing from a policy standpoint that affects the cost in a negative way in building homes, whether they're apartments or whether they're home ownership.
Yeah. Very good point. Amy?
So for Families Flourish, success looks like serving many more families. Right now, we could admit into the program about 35 families a year, and we'd like to double that. That's going to take support, more landlords, but mainly more money. And what we're seeing from our results is that economic impact is huge. The families are doing well. Community-wide, what I'd like to see in 5 years is all of the municipalities in Central Ohio do the same thing as what Columbus is doing with Zone In, with the bond package. This isn't just a Columbus issue.
Right.
We have to do it in every suburban area, and that we prioritize mixed income development. If we want to look to the future, we can't keep doing what we've been doing in the past, which is saying If you're low wage, you get to live here. And if you have middle incomes, you get to live over here. We all need to live together because we know that is what's best for children.
Yeah. Times have certainly changed. Carly, I'll end it with you. 5 years from now?
I love it. I'll build on those themes. And I think I can be more specific too, right? In 5 years, we can build 26,000 homes. We can cut that gap in half. Cities like Austin are doing it, Phoenix is doing it, Atlanta's doing it. There's no reason we can't be there. And we know that if we cut that gap in half, it's going to benefit everybody. We'll have 5 school districts that will raise their letter grade up an entire score. So our B districts will be A districts, our C districts will be B districts. That's a ship that's going to benefit all of us.
It will. It will. Wow. With the three of you, I feel like we've just moved the needle just with this conversation. I know, you know, like you said, we have to change what we've done in the past, and we have to really have true partners in this process, because without that, you know, where would we all be?
Yeah.
So. Thank you so much, Amy, Curtis, Carly. Wonderful conversation. I'd say I'd check back with you in 5 years, but I think we're going to be talking a lot sooner than that.
I think so.
Thanks so much for joining Boomtown. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
A $1 billion data center project planned for West Jefferson is officially off the table now. Developers say they could not secure enough power to move forward, even after plans looked promising for 3 massive buildings and up to 100 full-time jobs. Utility companies say upgrades are coming, but it could take years before Central Ohio's grid can handle the region's rapid tech growth. Meanwhile, a data center is causing some trouble now in Hilliard. Amazon wants to make some changes to its newest center right off Scioto Darby Road. The company wants to add fuel cells to the site, but some neighbors say this addition could be dangerous. Here's 10 TV's Tara Jabor with more.
Amazon is building a data center here in Hilliard behind me. Now they want to add a fuel cell plant to power that data center. But neighbors who live right behind the data center tell me they're worried about the effects of this plant. Chris Ignat has lived in his home in Hilliard for over 20 years. But a few years ago, his neighborhood started to change when Amazon began building a data center in his backyard.
Nobody wants to go out on their back porch and look at the back of some building, right? And the reason we purchased the home where we did was because it does back up to the woods, or it did.
Ignat has learned to live with the data center, but a new proposal for over 200 fuel cells has him concerned.
The city of Hilliard right now has no code. They have no ordinances in place to regulate or provide guidelines for fuel cells.
He worries about his safety and that the fuel cells will emit a significant amount of CO2.
How do they put out a fire? How do, you know, I mean, if one would start over there.
Hilliard City Councilman Les Carrier shares similar concerns. He says they don't know much about how the fuel cells work.
They take gas, 8-inch gas main, by the way, huge gas line, and it's forced into these cells, as they're called, and that process is non-combustible but creates energy.
In October, the Planning and Zoning Commission tabled the proposal. Still, Carrier worries it's moving too fast.
We're really disappointed in Amazon. They're trying to bootstrap a power plant into a data center approval process.
Ignat hopes the city considers the impact to neighbors and the environment before making a decision.
The city of Hilliard talks about being green and sustainability, and by allowing this project to go in, it speaks completely opposite of that.
And the Hilliard Planning and Zoning Commission will talk about this proposal again at its next meeting in November. Reporting in Hilliard, Tara Jabor, 10 TV News.
Tara, thank you. Now, we did reach out to Amazon about the concerns. A spokesperson says, in part, quote, in some instances, such as in Franklin County, the local utility will deploy fuel cells as an interim solution to power a small portion of our overall data center operations, while we await completion of larger scale transmission and distribution upgrades in Ohio. Finally, we leave you with this. The fashion boom in Ohio is getting a big name brand. This is what Easton Town Center posted last week on Facebook, saying an iconic brand is dropping soon. Look closely, because here's what we learned. Kim Kardashian is bringing her clothing line Skims to C-Bus, the 12th in the nation and the first for Ohio. Exact opening date has not been announced, but the company says sometime this fall. And when we say the boom in fashion is constant, well, we're not just talking about the designers or the models that you see here. People behind the scenes are seeing their small businesses grow as well. So let's take a deeper look into how this fashion boom really started and why Columbus is now ranked at number 3 in the nation when it comes to fashion. You could call it a Midwest style movement. You started this 15 years ago. Fast forward to today. Is this the vision you had?
No. 16 years ago when I founded Fashion Week Columbus, I was the director of an agency, a talent agency. And we had models that wanted to walk the runway, and that's how it all started. I had no clue that now we're going to have 8 various programs and events during the week, 16 years later.
Thomas McClure's early vision threaded together a mix of major retailers and local fashion schools like CCAD, churning out young designers eager to stay local.
And we're not just talking about designers, we're talking about models, photographers, makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, I said that right, videographers. These are all small businesses that we help support.
And some of those small businesses have hit the national stage.
Welcome to the big finale of Project Runway!
This summer, Joan Madison took her designs from the heart of Reynoldsburg to the runway, showing why homegrown talent is bringing that boom back to Central Ohio.
This is the best day ever.
And last month, the Columbus Fashion Alliance announced a new innovation center called The Loom, an incubator and hub with office and co-working spaces. Columbus has had a long tradition with retail, like Abercrombie & Fitch, The Limited, Victoria's Secret, Homage, all with Columbus ties. So get ready to see this industry boom even more next year.
It's called Direct to Columbus, and there are 5 of us fashion organizations that are leading the initiative, and we are going to help further the push of fashion being the identity of Columbus and Central Ohio.
Love that. Well, if you have any questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth, we would love to hear from you. Just text us 614-460-3345. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. You can also drop your question right there in the comment section as well. We want to thank you for watching This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann, and we'll see you again next week.